Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Tom Rivera, and welcome to our oral history project. Today is October the 24th. We're in the Fall Library at Cal State San Bernardino, and it's approximately a little past 1 o'clock. And our guest this afternoon is Mr. Andres Garcia. Andres, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. Thoroughly appreciate you being with us, especially you helping us with this oral history project of Colton. The purpose is to learn how it was growing up in South Colton during the 20s, 30s, 40s, and the 60s. And you're just a wonderful example of that. Why don't we start and let me ask you the first question. Tell us about yourself. When were you born?
I was born 1923, November 30th, down South 5th Street in Colton.
And you were part of the El Barrio La Calle Cinco.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
The poor area.
Well, you know, as the all of Colton, they'd seen was a poor area. But tell us a little bit about South Fifth Street, because earlier today, I heard you talking with Mr. Acosta, one of our committee members, and he mentioned El Barrio La Católica. Did you know anything about the barrio being named La Católica back then?
Not really, no, but I think it's about the first Catholic church that was down South 5th. As I understand, there was the first Catholic church there. And then after that, for some time, then it moved up to L
Mhm.
and 7th.
Yeah, yeah, Seventh and L. You're absolutely
7th and
right.
L,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, you mentioned that you were born in La Calle Cinco. You mentioned way south La Calle Cinco near Fogg Street,
Mm.
Congress Street.
Yes. If you proceeded down Fifth, you would come to Fogg Street. That was the end of Fifth, I believe, there at
Uh-huh.
that point.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Was Long's Dairy there when you were?
Ah, yes. The Long's Dairy. They had several cows and they sold milk to the area there. I think they even delivered some for some time, and, which was good because it was healthy, and therefore maybe I guess you can say we were raised starting out right.
Well, of course, and tell me, did you have any neighbors? Do you have any friends that you played with while you were in the neighborhood? Do you remember any of those friends?
Yes. Right next to us, on the north of our house, Garcia family, there was a, oh my goodness. I better jump to the next house was Vasquez family,
Uh-huh.
Mr. Sotero and wife
Manuela.
Manuela, and children like David, I believe, firstborn, Jesus, Arturo, Manuel, nicknamed Barney.
Arturo.
Yes, and I think I forgot one of the youngest, Ramon.
Ramon.
Call him Moni.
So, Henry, you're part of this family too.
Well, I'm out of that Vasquez family, so is Chuck.
Chuck, you're the one that's responsible. Eh?
He's living at that same house.
Oh, Henry is living at the same house
Oh.
that,
Yeah. Yeah, at 660 South Fifth Street.
That Mr.
660.
Garcia is talking about.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, yes, it's a small world.
yes,
It's a
they
small
say
world.
correct.
Yeah. Who were your friends that you remember, Andres, that you palled around with, like while you were growing up? You remember any of the guys that you were growing up with?
Yes. My goodness. Wow. This memory doesn't work too well anymore.
Well, let me rattle it a little bit.
Okay.
They tell me also, I never saw it, but they tell me there was a plunge in that area. The Caldera plunge is what they
Juan
tell.
Caldera built it, yes, down South Fifth, approaching Fog. And mostly Mexican people went there because it was in the south side of Colton.
Uh-huh. And they also tell me that he had a baseball field there.
Oh, yes. complete with the grandstand.
Uh-huh.
Behind the grandstand was, down below, behind it was a dance hall. And remember Willie Rueda,
Yes?
local vocalist? And there was dances there every weekend, I believe.
Uh-huh.
The
There was
ball-
Caldera Hall.
Caldera Hall.
What
Yes.
about, they mentioned to me that they had a bull ring there.
Oh,
Do you
yes.
remember that?
Yes, but for only one day, and if I remember right, I helped build it, me and Barney Vasquez and Ramon and others, way back. It was, but like I say, they didn't allow to killing the bull,
Uh-huh.
still don't. Anyway, for one day, and just few people came, I don't remember being a big thing
Uh-huh.
about it. So that was the end of that bullfights in South Colton.
Now, you mentioned the plunge.
Yes.
Was there another plunge in Colton?
At the north end of town, yes.
Uh-huh.
The Colton Plunge and, I forget the name of the streets though.
On La Cadena, and you said that you had to use the South Colton Plano Caldera.
Yes, mainly because we couldn't find transportation really to make it to the good place.
Uh-huh.
So we settled for, Colton Plunge was good, it was the biggie.
Uh-huh.
And every Sunday, people would gather there to watch those that could swim, dive. Those that made the headlines were Caldera's children,
Uh-huh.
Betty, Martina, because they could dive from the 30-foot platform, considered big deal.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. But do you remember any of your friends that you had in La Calle Cinco?
Yes, there was an Epimenio, don't recall the last name. Oh my goodness. Indalecio,
¿Cómo se llamaba? ¿Cómo se llamaba?
Indalecio Mercado,
Okay.
his brother Trinidad. Closer to my house would be, ay, ay, ay. No.
Now, did any of these friends of yours, did they have nicknames?
Okay, my brother Raul, Raleigh,
Uh-huh.
older than I,
Uh-huh.
and then there was Daniel, the youngest boy. We used to play in the street,
No,
kick the can, stuff like that.
no, you played in the street and you said kick the can.
Yes.
How was that? You get a can and kicked it, or
Yes.
or use it as a ball or
Don't
something?
remember if there was what rules there were, but the idea was to kick it around and see who could maybe kick it to the imaginary line
Uh-huh,
at some
uh-huh.
point.
Uh-huh.
And that's how we spent our time because we didn't, we were poor. We couldn't afford going to big-time baseballs yet. Although Caldera had a ball field
Uh-huh.
as part of the Caldera entrepreneurship. And I understand the Hollywood team, the Hollywood Browns used to
Mhm.
play there, and some other teams.
So the Caldera ballpark would attract good ball teams to come and play
Yes,
in South Colton.
I understand from Los Angeles area, Myers, Gordon Malzberger,
He was a Colton ball player.
Yes,
Malzberger, yeah.
Gordon Malzberger. After that, we went up north and played with a team from San Francisco, that area there. So he made good. He was a good, brought baseball to the area also,
Uh-huh.
you can say that,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Now, did you go to school there in South Colton?
Yes,
Where did you go to school?
little school down by, at the end of South Rancho, It connects to Awamansa, a little tiny school, two-room school, long across the. At one end was grades first through third. At the end of the building was another, the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth.
Uh-huh. And what was the name of the school?
San Salvador.
San Salvador Elementary
Yes,
School?
Elementary school, yeah.
Uh-huh. And after San Salvador, did you go to Wilson Elementary, Junior
Oh,
High School?
First of all, from the San Salvador school, a little tiny one, my teacher thought I was sharp.
Huh?
So I skipped fifth grade, and I ended up in Roosevelt, I believe,
Oh, okay.
seventh grade. For about, I forget anyway, from there I went to, they sent me to Wilson School, down on 7th Street for the 8th grade. I graduated from there, and then I went to 9th grade in high school.
What year was that, Andres, that you went to high school?
Oh, okay, I graduated from that 8th grade, 1938, I believe.
Okay.
And graduated, and went up to 9th grade in high school, 1939, in the 40s then. Schooling was 9th grade, 10th, 11th, and through the 12th.
Yeah.
But I
So
didn't, go
you
ahead.
you graduated from Wilson 1938?
I believe so, yes.
It was a brand new school. The
I-
brand new school that it was just opened,
I think
37
so.
or 38.
Yes,
And then you went to Colton High School?
yes.
Now, did you graduate from Colton High School?
From the 12th grade, I would have graduated in 1943, except that it was wartime, so I was drafted before I got to June. I would have graduated in June of 43. So, went into the service.
And you were in the Air Force?
I ended up in the Air Force, yes.
Okay. And tell us a little bit of that experience in the Air Force. Where did you get your basic training?
Oh, St. Petersburg, Florida.
Uh-huh.
Basic training by the ocean, by the sea, the
Mhm.
shore. It was fun because it had calisthenics right on the sand. We were suffering. It was hard to take.
Well, you know, you got out of paradise, La Calle
Oh.
Cinco, and you went to another
Oh.
paradise.
Yes.
Yeah. And were you overseas, or did you stay in Florida all that time, or would you?
After basic training in Florida,
Mhm.
St. Petersburg, we came back later to take gunnery school, aerial gunnery school. And that was fun because there was this airplanes would tow what they call a sock, a moving target, and we would fly on parallel to them on our own airplane and shoot at it from a distance.
Uh-huh.
And there was, the sock was, had ink in it, and then your bullet, your shells would leave a mark on the sock. When it landed, then they would count how many reds you had. And the other guys were shooting at it too also, so anyway, when they got on the ground, they would count and tell you how you did.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
okay. But you mentioned that being in Florida, to you,
Yes?
was the best thing since tortillas and frijoles.
Oh, my goodness.
Why did you say that? That it was a wonderful experience in Florida in comparison to Fifth Street in Colton.
Well, with different living, a little higher maybe. No more tortillas or frijoles and stuff. Yeah, we were now a little civilized. Yeah. But it was fun. But then you got to know other kids from Eastern California, from all
All over the country?
All over the country, yes. Different nationalities. And I remember that it was wintertime. They would go in formation out in the street and to call roll. And then later, they gave you a little break, go inside and wash up, repair, change into, what do you call, fatigues. And then they would march us out to maybe, I think first stop was the lunch, breakfast first. Very good breakfast, by the way. No more beans and tortillas. It was good.
It was different, eh?
They're
Well,
very
let me
different.
ask you,
Yes.
did you go overseas after basic training? Did you go overseas?
Yes, eventually, yes, after I went to gunnery school and ended up, I guess you can say we flew around the world. We, the ferry command, they used to take ready-formed what do you call them? When you make up a,
Maneuvers?
no. But by this time, you were a member of a crew, a pilot, co-pilot, engineer, radio operator, which was me. So we went around the world, down to South America, across the Atlantic Ocean, ended up in Africa, across Africa to, en route to our final destination, our permanent base, which happened to be in Burma, Warzuk, Burma.
Uh-huh.
We had our base there with about 14, 15 C-47 airplanes, and I was the radio operator in one of them. Then we had the pilot, the co-pilot, engineer, and our job then was to drop supplies down to our troops on the ground in Burma.
Mm. And how long were you in the Air Force? When did you get out of the Air Force?
In January 1946,
So that you spent 4 years with the Air Force?
yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay, okay.
And
Yeah.
that was the extent of my military time.
Uh-huh, uh-huh, yeah.
But I
Uh,
did, go ahead,
Yeah.
I didn't stay in a service very long, because I was discharged, and it seems like right away, a short time, about 2 or 3 weeks later, Norton was busy with repairing aircraft. The aircraft that was being repaired at that time were C-47s, which was exactly the one that I used to fly in the service. So I knew everything about that airplane, airplane, the C-47. I could work every equipment in it.
Mm-hmm. And when you got out of the service, did you work at Norton, or where did
Yes,
you work?
at Norton. But I started out as washing airplane parts with at the wash rack.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
What a change of from fighting one place and then to doing dishes, you might say, at the other place.
So you started working at Norton,
At
what
Norton.
year? In 46?
46,
1946?
January 1946.
And you eventually worked on the planes, repairing the planes?
Not repairing, I was in radio shop, so I would install, tune, and check out the radio, different radios that the C-47 included to check for your signal strength. We used to call, it was fun because you used to call different air bases and with our call sign 656, I remember. How do you read my signal? And so on.
And when did you retire? What did you have? Oh, I thought, when did you retire?
Oh. My goodness. Nineteen 1985,
Okay, okay.
yeah,
About 30 years ago then,
yes.
say, okay.
And then it was all civilian, back to civilian life,
Now,
free.
being born and raised in Colton, your girlfriend,
Uh-oh,
your girlfriend
my girlfriend, yeah.
was almost your neighbor.
Yeah,
Now, tell me, how did you meet, marry? And what was her first name?
Abelina,
Avelina. And guys were almost neighbors and.
they would go out on walks, her sisters,
Uh-huh.
and me and another friend of mine, probably next door, I forget his name now, we would mix with them, play with them, dance even at night, dance in the streets. But I happened to be interested in this certain one, and I guess the other way around too. We ended up going out together for a long time. Gradually, we got serious, that maybe eventually would be ending up marrying and raising our own children.
Now, when did you get married? What year did you get married?
October 12th, 1947, I believe.
Uh-huh. Almost right after the year after leaving the
Yeah.
Air Force.
Right.
Avelina's maiden name?
Belina, the first name,
And then
Sanchez,
Sanchez.
maiden name,
Uh-huh.
maiden name. Yeah.
And you got married in 47. And how many children did you have?
5 altogether.
Mm-hmm.
3 boys and 2 girls, 2 of which are present.
And 2 of them are here, Priscilla and Virginia.
No, wait a minute. No, that's before. Oh, watch this. Watch this. No, that's right. Right there. 3 boys. One is a mailman, one works for Kaiser, and another one for Beaumont Schools.
Uh-huh.
And that would bring us to about this point.
Yeah. Now tell me, after you got married and raised your family, did you always live in Colton on 5th Street?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah, when I retired, I had a lot in Beaumont, and my wife and I had a house built there, which we took part in finishing it, actually. Because we did all the, what do you call the,
Architecture, planning?
Architecture?
Architectural planning?
we did, I knew a little carpentry, I did a lot of roofing, painting. We practically, I can say that we had a good part in completing the
Building,
house,
or building, you
Yes.
building the house yourself.
our own house.
Yeah.
Yes,
Now, you said in Beaumont.
in Beaumont, yes.
Yeah. Now, how long did you live in Beaumont or?
14 years, I believe,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And in Colton, you still have a house in Colton?
It was still there, yeah.
Uh-huh.
We left it to, I think Priscilla there. And I continue living in Beaumont with my wife, and I think I got a job there. I didn't have to, but just after we finished the house, by the way, I worked for a library for volunteer, and then in the Banning Hospital, that was for pay, and back to, oh, then I worked for Jack in the Box. I didn't have to work there, but because I had to go to work at 5 in the morning. I only put in about 5 months' work, and I said, this is not for me. I'm not getting up. Don't have to get up. So I quit.
Yeah. Well, was this after you retired from Norton?
Yeah, way after that, yes.
Okay. Let me ask you about mom and dad. Where
My
are you-
mom and dad.
Your mom and dad.
Yes.
Where are they from?
They originally came from the state of Michoacan in
Uh-huh.
Mexico.
Okay.
And their names were my dad was Zacarias Garcia, and my mom was Jesus Avalos.
And when did they come to Colton?
I would say around close to the 1920s,
Uh-huh.
yeah, the end of 1900s. I don't know how they ended up in the state of Illinois first. They came across first in El Paso, I believe,
Yes.
and gradually but like I say, how they ended up in the state of Illinois, I don't know.
And then they came to Colton?
And then gradually they worked themselves
Uh-huh.
back west until we had uncles in Colton, my tio Filomeno. They already, before us, they were there, and my tio Filomeno worked at the cement plant there, so my dad had an easy time finding a job.
Oh, so your dad worked for the cement plant?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
okay. And did he retire the cement plant, or was
No.
he injured, or?
He was, he was injured 1926, I
Uh-huh.
believe, in May. It seems like at work, a conveyor belt, a chain broke and hit him in the head. And as I remember, I was only about 2.5 years old. I barely remember him. He tried to go home, but they wouldn't let him, and I think he died there before he could be taken to a hospital.
So you were, didn't have a father, you were,
Oh,
in the
yeah.
early, were you raised just by your mom?
Yes. She happened to be a seamstress, learned the business in Mexico.
Uh-huh.
So in Colton, she would make dresses, alterations, work for some of my teachers. They go to her, and I would be, since my mom didn't know any English, the teacher would give me measurements, the patterns, and I would interpret. Okay? So my mom would work that, making dresses, alterations. She would also, the priest the priest would come to her to needing alterations.
The priest was
At
Padre
that-
Valencia?
At that time, I believe it was Father Valencia, yes. And he was quite quite a character, really.
Why was he quite a character? Tell me about his
He
characters.
drove like a 1931 Ford sedan. He would fill it full of kids, as many as he could get in the car, 3 or 4 kids. and right up and down the streets, hollering, honking the horn, and just having fun. I remember that part.
Now, you mentioned that your mom did some work for the church, Father Valencia,
Yes,
some alterations, tailoring.
tailoring, correct.
Were you a very religious person when growing up?
I believe so. My mom used to take us, yes, every Sunday. By that time, we were, I guess, the families were, I think we're 5 of us all together then,
Uh-huh, mhm.
by that time. Every Sunday, we would walk because we didn't have a car yet. We would go walk to church every Sunday. And,
Did you also attend the Jamaicas?
oh yes,
Uh-huh.
all celebrations like that, especially remember when the time when they used to Judas.
During the Easter festivities?
Easter festivities, yeah,
Uh-huh.
they would hang Judas. It was a mono made of paper, painted black. It was fixed with crackers, no,
Fireworks,
firecrackers,
yeah.
firecrackers,
Uh-huh.
yes. And then Father Valencia would somehow there was music there. And he would chase, people wanted to get close up to the mono to touch it. And it was hanging from a rope. And somebody down on the ground would pull the rope and dancing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And after a while, it was time to end it. Well, then he would get up to the mono and light the fuse. That was the culmination of the celebration. You would see who those parts catching on fire, just pieces flying all over, kids running to get maybe souvenirs of what's left.
So the firecrackers would just explode Judas,
Yeah,
and the parts of the paper mache
yeah,
would blow all over the
all
place,
over the place.
and everybody wanted a souvenir.
Yes,
Did you ever get a souvenir?
don't
Oh,
believe so.
no. Tell me about the baptism. Did you attend the baptism, Samuel?
Pardon?
Baptism, bautismos.
Yes. Well, I was baptized there, yes, when I
Uh-huh.
was
Uh-huh.
about 2 or 3 years old.
Uh-huh.
Baby, anyway.
Uh-huh.
And my padrinos, I think, were, Jesus and San Bernardino. Yeah. I forget the name.
So you were baptized at San Salvador.
Yes,
Okay, what about marriage? Did you get married at San Salvador?
yes.
Uh-huh.
I believe it was October 12th, 1947.
Uh-huh.
My wife, Evelina, yes. And my padrinos were Ramona Mercado and Trinidad, her husband, I believe. We were poor, so we couldn't afford having a big celebration afterwards.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So we kept it, in fact, at my house, we had a small gathering, my mom would fix some for the small number of those invited. It kept it very, very simple.
And the food that was served, was it mole and gallina?
I
or-
believe so.
Mole and gallina?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
With tortillas or
Oh,
pirotes?
got
or-
to, yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. How about arroz? Did they serve arroz también?
Arroz,
Uh-huh.
yeah. But it didn't last long because we didn't have any music to speak of, so it kind of just small affair,
Uh-huh.
and it was the end of it.
Well, but you're still here. You're still
Yeah.
here.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's been great. Tell me, let's go back to when you were growing up on La Calle Cinco.
Okay.
And talking about your friends. And you mentioned you played kick the can, and I would imagine you also played canicas.
Canicas, run, chipper, run, whatever that means.
Uh-huh, yeah. Then what about swimming? Did you guys swim? And besides the plunge, did you swim?
Whoa,
en
we
la
went
sequía?
we went to the river, Santa Ana River.
Okay,
It was running through South Colton. It ended up in what they call the Cuadrito. It was about chest high. The water would get up that high, and it would dive from the sides, and have a ball. It was,
so you and your gang would go to the Cuadrito.
yes.
Yeah. What else did you do besides that? Did you guys play softball or?
Yes. Everybody formed sides, pick sides with a big softball in the street, I believe. We would hold up traffic sometimes and so we had all kinds of fun. One thing that I remember, yeah, okay, on the ground at the house, we would draw characters and kind of make like talk what these monos were doing, drawing real fast, like draw like a monito killing the other. How would you say it?
Character?
Characters, yes.
Well, talking about bonitos, did you have, how about comic books?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had, I didn't buy too many comic books, but the other guys would, and they would loan it to us. I remember some like the Marvel, a hero, there was a hero. Superman, I believe,
Mhm.
at that time.
Andres, how about the radio? We didn't have TV back then, but how about the radio? Did you have a radio?
Yes. We have an old-time radio, I believe barely, it was so noisy, I guess the signal wouldn't pick up too well. There was a Mexican program there from San Bernardino,
Uh-huh.
KFXM, forget the name of the man was speaking,
Uh-huh.
what do you call him? Monday?
Announcer?
And the announcer, yeah, in Spanish,
Locutor.
locutor, yes, but I forget his name, well known. Then later he became insurance man, forget the name. So, yeah,
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the insurance person we interviewed, this, Villanueva, was it Villanueva?
There was a radio announcer named Landeros also.
Danny Landeros from Redlands, yeah. Spanish it was in Spanish, I believe.
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
Danny Landeros, yeah.
yeah. You know, Andres, besides, you said your dad worked for Portland Cement,
Yes,
and you worked at Norton, and your mom did some tailoring, for people in Colton.
yes.
What else did people do to earn a living?
Wow.
Yeah, your friends or neighbors, where did they work?
Let me see now, during harvest times, many of us would go to places like Hemet
Mm-hmm.
in June,
And Big Chavacan?
Picture
apricot, uh-huh.
yes. There was one of them, or ladies would do the cutting, and the men would do the spreading of the fruit on trays out in lay them out in the sun to cure after running them through a what do you call the cooking stuff?
Mhm. Sulfur?
Sulfur. Yeah, cooking with sulfur first. And I remember I was picking, also got to pick apricots and cut them and spread them. And my older brother Manuel will be out in the yard spreading the trays full of cut apricots in the sun to cure.
Mm-hmm.
And finally gather them up and ship them off to a cannery
Mm-hmm.
downtown Hemet.
Now, besides Hemet, any other harvest that the family followed?
Yes.
¿Qué
Yep.
más?
After the apricot season, we would end up in La Puente.
Mm-hmm.
There would be the walnut harvest. That would last about 2 or 3 weeks. Strong men would take a long stick with a hook at the end and shake the walnuts, shake the big branches to drop all the walnuts to the ground, and then we would gather in buckets, pick up the fruit, maybe make a big pile of them, and remove those that didn't come clean with little tool, clean the fruit, and put them in gunny sacks. Fill the sack with full of it 100 pounds maybe, and put our little tag on it indicating that we had picked those were our number.
Mm-hmm.
So they would know where the pay would go.
What about other fruit beside walnuts?
I got to pick a lot of apricot, grapes,
Oh,
grape
where-
season fruit
Where were the grapes?
in Ontario, all along Highway 10 on
Okay.
both sides. A lot of grape.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Wasti area.
Wasta, yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, you were busy.
Kept busy. We had
You
to.
were busy.
uh,
You mentioned you were poor, and were raised in the poor part of of Colton, and then you went into service. And there's a wonderful little picture of you, and you were a handsome guy back. You were a handsome, well, still a handsome guy, but you were handsomer back then, eh? And that's a nice
Ah,
picture of you. And then also, when you left the service in '46, you came back to Colton, and you got a job at Norton.
mhm.
Now, do you remember people like you coming back after they left the service, like Angie Oliva and
Oh.
Pascual Oliva And some of those people that were kind of in your age category, that they came back, and then they started having committees, like they would get involved con las fiestas patrias. They would get involved con las fiestas patrias. They would also get involved in, with Pete Lukey Senior, running for the council in Colton. So they got involved in
In
politics.
politics,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, tell us about that. It was
Ah.
lots of GIs came back and said, we want to be part of American society now because we paid our dues.
I guess after coming from the service and going to school and learning, getting wise maybe,
Mm-hmm.
they would join groups, political groups, and pretty soon they would run for political office. I think one of the first to won an office was Pascual Oliva, I believe, the first mayor, if I remember right. And shortly after that, more people became involved in trying to move ahead. Another man that Peter Lukey Senior was running for office, I believe. And Abe Beltran also got to be a mayor
Yes,
for
the
a while
mayor.
there.
So do you think the soldiers coming back from their duties
Yes.
became more aware of being able to participate in the community?
Yes, and be a part of the city. Eh, take part in, contribute in whatever they could to better our own people,
Mm-hmm.
which were, for a time, it was only the north, people in the north that were advancing, you might say. And over here, we were timid maybe, afraid to make a move.
But it made a difference then because, South Colton,
Yes.
we had the railroad track and we couldn't pass the railroad track. How was it being raised in a segregated community where you
Mm.
had people past the railroad tracks, being entitled to just about everything, electric services, water services, sewer services,
Yes.
road services. And here in South Colton, we were denied many of those services. But when the folks like you came back from the service, they said, well, we need to provide better services to South Colton. Yeah. So how was it growing up in South Colton under those conditions?
I think, like I said, we were timid. We couldn't get enough nerve to try something to be maybe start a business.
So it was a little difficult then.
Very difficult,
Uh-huh.
yes, because you weren't allowed, like wanting to say, you're down here, you can't, you're not ready to show that you can also be a part of what makes a city run.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So things changed after you guys came back from the service?
Gradually, yeah, for the
Uh-huh,
good.
Uh-huh,
Mhm.
uh-huh. Now, getting back to the barrio, you mentioned businesses. We had, we had our own church in South Colton. We had our grocery stores in South Colton.
Mhm.
We had our restaurants in South Colton. We had, let's see, the hardware store in Colton. We had all kinds of services in Colton, ¿verdad?
Yes.
To take care of us. Now, where did people do their shopping, Andres? Where did people do their shopping?
I think I remember that my mom, we had a grocery store down on Sixth and O. The
Was it
name-
was it Negrete's store?
There was, yeah, before. Negrete family had a grocery store, I believe, on N Street. But before there was, my God, I can never, my brain doesn't want, Esteban
Oh, Esteban, there on
Hernandez, no?
yes, Esperanza,
Esperanza Market,
right?
yeah. And pretty soon Navarro also put up a
A store
grocery store,
on Owen 7th.
yes.
Yeah.
And then don't forget el viejito Martínez, acá, papá de Jeremías Martínez, the boxer.
Right, right.
His dad's name was, come on. Ooh.
Don't worry about it. Just, but I know what you're talking about, Martinez. Yeah, Martinez Bakery.
See,
Yeah, Martinez Bakery.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So most of the people in South Colton did their shopping in these grocery stores.
Yes, I would say yes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Several of them.
Uh-huh.
Mary Morales there on 7th Street by.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
After mass, people would stop by there and buy Mexican bread because
Uh-huh.
it was brought to there,
Mhm.
ready-made Mexican bread. It was always favored because it was fresh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then there was, oh my goodness.
Well, I remember Cervantes Market, and I remember Rodriguez Market.
Yes,
Yeah.
Cervantes, big family,
Yes.
Ralph,
Tony.
Tony.
Carlos.
Yes,
Uh-huh. They were also World War II veterans.
I believe so.
And then Ralph was the one that was the first one to buy a house in North Colton.
Ralph and
Cervantes, sí.
Correct.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
He had to go to court to win his case and buy the house in North Colton. Yeah. Let me ask you another subject, and this has been kind of things that I've never asked anybody. You're the first one I'm going to ask.
Okay.
During Prohibition,
Yes.
people say you couldn't buy liquor or beer or anything.
All right.
Did we have distilleries or people that made their own liquor in the barrio?
Yes. In our house. Yeah. My tios, not my mom, but her brothers. And let's see, Tio Filomeno, oops. Tio Alberto from Gardena, they would visit us often. Yeah, somehow I knew pretty soon there was we weren't allowed where they were doing their thing. But pretty soon you saw bottles of beer up on the shelves in the garage. Being kind of timid or dumb, we were afraid to ask. But this is how we learned that you could buy, if you couldn't buy it, you could make it. Yes, right.
So a lot of families in South Colton did it, eh?
Yes, I would say,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
yeah. Oh, my goodness. One more thing that I remember at our house, we used to buy maybe a small piggy and feed it to everything is available, old stuff, leftovers. But when time to slaughter him, then we would start feeding him corn.
Uh-huh.
And then at about the right time, when the piggy was big, ready for slaughter, we would invite these tios from my tío Gregorio from Los Alamitos and my tío Alberto from Gardena to meet. I don't know how they did it because we didn't have no telephone, but they would, word of mouth somehow. They would write, I guess, when to meet at our house in Colton. And in the morning, early in the morning, they would get out in the backyard, start a fire, heat water, and build a flat bed of boards to lay the poor pig for slaughter. And then they would gather, and I remember that about two big men, tios, would hold the piggy down, and I would remember them telling me, "You hold the feet with all your strength," because I was a part of the party there. And then they would either shoot it or kill it with a knife, and they would collect all the blood in a big pan. My mom would take it inside, and she would, she knew how to prepare blood sausages,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and the chicharrón, the skin in a big laundry tub, cut up the pig and make chicharrones, start a fire, watch them, and by this time the neighborhood would know that there was meat to be, because we always ended up selling some of it.
Uh-huh.
And somehow we got paper, wrapping paper, so because we wanted to wrap up maybe a scale and sell the meat by the pound. Always leaving some for preparing different things in the kitchen. And pretty soon everything would be gone. Nothing was wasted there. People from around the neighborhood would know about this. They would come and buy meat for good price, fresh, the real thing, no? Yes,
So with that, you would have a party, you would have
yes.
puerco con mole,
Oh.
you would have tamales.
Oh, yes, that followed, yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So that was a big treat then.
It was slaughter time,
Uh-huh.
once a year, never failed. Oh, buy the piggy small, feed it, and get it ready, and then slaughter it, and again he goes, time to celebrate again and eat good.
Was that for some special occasion?
No. Don't think it was wait for a certain time of year, no, but it was when the piggy was at the right age, the right size. That was a time to do these things.
Andres, we're talking about South Colton and North
Yes.
Colton.
Uh-huh.
Did you ever go to the New Colton Theater or the Hub Theater?
Yes.
Did you ever experience having to sit on one side of the theater?
Oh, yes. Yes, the Colton Theater, right on what is now the drugstore, Rexall. Maybe there was a theater there,
It's a Hub City, yeah.
Hub City, yeah. And the idea was, it was divided into three areas. The center area, the best view of the screen, the center, right? And then the sides, you will see it at an angle not very enjoyable, I guess, to see these pictures up there sideways or distorted. And then when it was time to show the movie, then they would had to keep order because some of the people that wanted to sit in the center were not allowed. You're not brown, you're not Mexican.
So the Mexicans were on one side.
On the sides,
Uh-huh,
yes.
okay.
Up here, the whites and other Mexicans that were maybe considered themselves,
They passed.
they passed,
Okay.
I guess, yeah. And I remember that when somebody would get out of order, wanting to move to a better place, there was Johnny Martinez, Jeremias,
The boxer.
the boxer, well-known boxer, or Ramon, his brother, Ramon Perez, but Jeremias mostly, he would keep order. He wouldn't allow just everybody to sit in the center. I think one day I remember him, I think he had to hit somebody because he wouldn't follow orders. So it ended up, you do or you don't get in.
So there was that.
Control.
There was this control division
Yes.
of where people sat in the theater.
Uh-huh.
Also, Andres, I know that you have your daily calendar here,
Mm.
and your daughters tell me that you're a very, very meticulous person in keeping track of everything that you do. And you
Pretty much.
And then you brought your calendar here. You have October the 23rd. I don't know what you have on October the 24th, but can you turn the page? Maybe you have let's see what we
But
have.
today's the 23rd.
Today's the
No, the
24th. Today's the 24th.
24th.
Yeah.
Oh, way over here then.
Yeah. Lily, I'm not on
Oh,
there.
At
I'm
10
not on
o'clock to Cal State.
Oh, I am
with,
on there.
With Dr. Tom Rivera.
I am on there. So I understand that you're a very meticulous person, that you just write everything that you do on a daily basis. Is that true?
Possibly, yes, if I remember.
And also, Andres, your daughters tell me that you still stick to the old stoves. You use your old stoves, you don't replace them, and that you have wonderful results with all the old things that you have.
Make them last, in other words.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. You're not into cell phones.
No,
Yeah.
but I have one though, but I hardly ever use it. No.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I notice about you is that you have an old copy of the annual, and that's the annual for the Wilson School.
Wilson School, yes.
And what does it say?
Los Charritos.
Los Charritos. Los Charritos.
You will remember, no? No?
Los
It's
Charritos.
before your time. Henry?
No.
Tampoco.
Lily? No. No.
Los
It was in
Charritos.
Colton. The front of I drew that, I drew the cover there, Los Charritos, and a man holding a guitar standing, another man kneeling with a guitar, like playing with a, whatever you call it, and a lady there with trenzas down her side, a dancer,
And what year was this, Andres?
1930, where is it?
1938?
I believe so. Yeah,
That was Wilson's first year.
Oh, that was Wilson's first year?
yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Priscilla, you're gonna have to scan this and keep it. Yeah, scan it and put it in the CD. Ooh, we have
Yeah.
to, we do have to take care of this one. And then you have another one, Andres, you have another, the Crimson and Gold, and that was what?
1943, I believe.
A ver, vamos a ver. Let's see.
1942 it says there, but I think I have a 1943 at home.
Yeah,
This is my time, Andres Garcia, 1942, right? Okay. At that time I was in high school, I guess, right? Yeah.
Could you hold that up and I'll zoom in?
yeah. Hold it up. Let it look, now point it to the camera. There you go. Can you get it, Frank?
Okay.
Good, good. And currently, Andres, you're 90 years old.
Yes.
Boy,
And fast approaching 91,
when is your birthday?
November.
Oh, ya mero.
Yeah,
What date?
30th.
The 30th?
Yes.
Ya mero,
Yeah.
ya mero. We'll get those guitarras para que te cante las mañanitas.
Well, that would be nice.
Anyway, Andres, you know, as a lifelong person of Colton, did I miss anything that I should talk about your life and growing up in South Colton? Is there anything that I forgot? Well, let me ask you, if you look back in all those years, you were born and raised in Colton, you grew up on Fifth Street, you met your wife around the corner or next door neighbor.
Mhm.
You raised your kids in South Colton. You know you're a South Coltonite for all practical purposes.
Correct.
And let me ask you, what's the best thing about living in South Colton, as far as you're concerned? What was the best experience, the best thing, the thing that you remember most about growing up in South Colton?
I think that I had good parents. My mom, though I didn't know my dad. My mom raised us, sent us to school, to church, and taught us to be good persons.
Mm-hmm.
Don't consider yourself superior to anybody else. You're just one in hundreds that live in Colton. You be yourself, try to help each other, and do your best.
Very good.
Yes.
Anything else that I forgot?
Give me a clue.
Okay.
How about the
Yes, go
current-
ahead, Priscilla.
The current San Salvador Church, did you help build that
Oh,
church?
yeah.
Oh, I forgot about San Salvador
The
Church.
the present church where he stands right now in Seventh
Yes.
and L.
Uh-huh.
Yes, there was quite a project. Father Lucky was the priest there. And I believe that from the ground up, we had the Mr. Sosa, one of the Sosa.
Luz Sosa
Sosa.
also lived on Fifth Street?
See, and he was laid the ground. They were surveyors. So they laid the what do you call it?
Foundation?
No, yeah, they surveyed the area where the church would be in the points. If I can say that, I guess.
Yeah, it is. It's,
Right.
maybe it's Randy Lilly that did that survey.
Yeah, surveying.
Randy Sosa,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes. And so, every Saturday, those that could, I worked still, but those that could, they were there daily. And I think the Ray Gonzalez was the contractor.
Mhm.
I think it was Ray Gonzalez. His sidekick was, I want to say that it's, oh my goodness.
And I understand that you took a film of the project while it was being constructed.
Oh, yes.
Do you still have that?
I still have the film, though very poorly. The camera didn't have features that, to focus right, properly. So it's very, very poor results. But I have made much footage of the Colton Church going up,
Mm-hmm.
the foundation, the framing, the roofing, all the people enjoying, actually having a good time there, present, like I say, on Saturdays. But they were there, those that could, every day. And remember when it was, usually it's Saturdays when I was there, people would take food, home prepared in pans, and ladies would work at what, an old house that was in back of the church. The ladies, the wives would go there and prepare the food that was being brought in by many people in pans and whatever. And then when time to eat, Sabar Rublero and I don't know who else ring the bell, whatever it was, iron, something iron. And chow time. And here we go, wash our hands and line up into the house where the serving lines were. Get our plates, come out, find a place to sit down and have a ball, just talking and building and enjoying. Father Lucky had a saying, I believe, a labor of love here, you see. Everybody helped build a church.
Well, it was a big community project then.
That's what it was, yes.
You know, Frank was able to compile the list of people that contributed
Yes,
to the building of the church.
yes.
And you came up with almost 500, Frank?
Oh, goodness.
500 sponsors?
Oh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The names on your list were about 400.
It was a list compiled by the people who organized the dedication in
Dedication,
1976,
yes.
and then also the consecration in 1980.
When the bishop
From
came around, the bishop,
Yes,
but,
it was from the commemorative booklet
Yes.
celebrating the dedication of the church.
So,
Mary Chavez lent that to me. I scanned it.
yeah, your first list that you gave me was about 400 people.
Was it that many?
Yes, so about 400 people that gave money to build the church.
uh-huh,
And there was another group of people that owned businesses that also gave an additional contribution.
mhm.
But it was built, it was completed in 1976, Frank?
It was dedicated in 1976.
1976.
That's what I have in my, the field that I have. A movie, yes, 1976 I called it, and then a lot of scenes there, at different stages of construction.
Mhm. And how long did it take the project to build the church? About 4 years?
Probably that long,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Well, you guys did a good job.
I think
You know,
we
being a
did.
community project and everybody pitching in,
Mhm.
and like you said, everybody preparing the food and feeding all the workers. And there were some people that worked part-time, others that worked full-time, and they were just dedicated. And when they finished the project, everybody was proud of their church.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And even now, it looks very, very nice. It looks very nice. I'm glad you brought up the church. I completely forgot about that. ¿Qué más, Andres, that I think I should talk about or remember?
I don't know, I can,
Well, muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon for a little over an hour.
I'm glad I
And,
could.
well, we appreciate the information that you provided for us.
Mhm.
It's exactly what we're looking for, and when we talk about growing up in South Colton.
Yes,
And I agree with you. It's a great place to be born in and to be raised in. So thank you very much.
yes.